we've got one more 12 volt socket in the back, which is just on the panel here. Again, it's the same as the one on the dash, and that gives you power to the rear of the vehicle as well. There's probably lots of different things that people plug into the back of it. Fridges, for example, which might seem a bit strange. I've got a fridge that's on there as well, but usually when I go away I actually have a small portable fridge as well that I take with me, so if we're going down on the beach and stuff like that, I can just grab it and go. So that's where I would tend to plug that type of thing into, just while I'm travelling along, to keep things cool. But you can plug pretty much anything else that's in there. Again, you know, for example, a kettle, if you had this up and you just, you know, wanted to make a quick hot drink at the back, you know, as with these things as well, lots of people do lots of different things in lots of different ways, so it's, you know, it's for you to decide how you want to do it. But said, that's where you've got your plug socket that's in there as well in the back. Nearly forgot about the roof section. So there's one more 12 volt supply up in the roof here. So this is the Ocean model, so this has got the standard lighting that's in here, so there's a switch up here for that, and then next to it has got the same 12 volt socket supply as well that you can plug into, that's there. On that note as well, obviously if, for example, you've got a Coast which doesn't have those lighting, you get the light adapter. Now the light adapter would plug into that. You can plug additional reading lights and things like that, and that's kind of what that power supply is for up there. It's also quite useful as well if you're sleeping upstairs and you want your mobile phone near you, so you can plug that in on charge. You can get things like extensions for these as well, for these plugs. So I've got one which is so it's a plug that then goes to a double extension, and on there I've got USB as well. So obviously if you've got multiple things you want to plug into one particular area, that's quite a handy thing to have. It depends how many things you've actually got electrical that you actually want to plug in. That's always the question, and you're never going to really know that until you start going away and using it and think, oh yeah, I could do with charging that, I could do with charging that, I could do with this, and you know, there's lots of different things as well. That's obviously for yourself to decide what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So I mentioned before about your 240 supply inside. Obviously that means you need to be plugged in at the side. We've done videos on this before, but I thought as part of this we'll show you anyway. So that's the type of socket you would have. You'd have that type of lead on the campsite, and you literally just push that in and lock it into place on there, and then you just need to make sure your switches on the inside are also in the right position. And this comes out the way from on here, and the key thing, I think I've mentioned to it before here, is it's on red, which is on, which is a slightly different, because we're used to seeing switches like that at home with them being green to say that it's on, and in Europe it's the other way around, it's all red that's there. So if it's red, it's on. You know it's on because on your pop-up display at the top you'll have a little plug sign in orange, and that'll tell you you've got live feed to there, and then that socket on the side there should work, no problems at all. Obviously you can use your head-up display to show you how much power you've got left. So that's the battery symbol that's in there, so 30 hours and 10 minutes. It's what it's showing that's on there. Obviously that will fluctuate, go up and down. I believe it's an estimate, so it's just using how much power you're using at any one time, but it's just generally, if you look at it, to give you a rough idea on how much energy you've got left that's in the vehicle at the time when you're using it. But it gives you, obviously got plenty of charge that's in here. You'll see from the bars that are across as well, so they'll probably be about half full, something like that. Probably put it on charge after the video and get that charged up right up to there. I think the maximum it goes to is about 60 hours, something like that. Obviously lots of other things that use power in the vehicle as well, things like your fridge, your auxiliary heater, etc. They obviously have their own supply. There's no on and off for the electric for those. You're obviously just turning those particular units on or off, and you don't get any control over those. So as I said at the start of this video, you've got the main engine battery, and then you've got one under the seat arm sitting on and one in the back. Now those batteries are all charged. If you're plugged in on a campsite or somewhere like that, for example, when you plug into the side that's in there, that provides a feed to charge all of those batteries. So there's a separate charger unit which looks after the batteries that's in the under here, that charges everything through for the vehicle. So that's charging all the batteries to keep you all nicely topped up when you're on a campsite. And obviously also as well, if you're driving, so when you're not plugged in on the side and you're driving anywhere, the alternator then, which is connected to the engine, that's providing again a charge to all the batteries on board as well. It's worth noting though that there is a cut-off, so if your batteries in the vehicle are depleted, that won't deplete the engine battery. So the engine battery is pretty much using most of the sockets is from here forward, and the dashboard and things like that, for example, are all off there as well. So you don't need to worry about running out of energy to actually start the vehicle that's there. And as I said, those units are charging them as you go along. Last thing that's worth mentioning about, because I get this asked a lot, is about solar. Now obviously on the Grand California, we'll do a separate video on the Grand and we'll talk you through all these. That obviously has the option to get factory solar panels. Now on the California, on the Ocean, there's no option for solar panels on this vehicle, but I know lots of people who have them do have portable solar panels which you then plug in and things like that. Obviously we don't get involved in that side of things from here, but I know that that is something that can be done. So you can get solar panels mounted on the roof, for example, and then that trickle charges into the actual batteries as well and keeps them topped up using that particular function that's there as well. And then the other thing that has been brought to my attention quite recently, and I've had a bit of a look on the internet just to get my head around it as well, is when you're off-grid, the ability to still use onboard power when you're off-grid. I think this is probably something more we'll cover a bit more in depth. I'll talk about a bit more in the Grand California, because it's probably a bit more on that particular vehicle. But that's things like having a portable generator, which a few people I've actually spoken to actually now do have as a backup, and that would allow you then to plug into the side of the vehicle here, and then obviously then effectively you're giving the vehicle the 240 volts 230 volts power directly into the vehicle, but you're getting to that maximum wattage that's on here. So a lot of the smaller versions tend to be around the 2000 watts, somewhere around there, which is plenty, I think, more for this type of environment. And those are more your what they class as suitcase type generators as well. Not mentioning any names, but I think Honda are pretty much like the market leader. I might be wrong there, but from research and stuff I've looked at, they seem to be pretty at the forefront of this type of thing as well, been pretty good reputation from them as well. So it might be worth looking at that. I said we'll talk a bit more about that when we look at the Grand video from there as well, because I think it's probably more useful for that vehicle with it being so much bigger, and things like you've got the air conditioning which you might have that's on there, which relies on mains power as well. Because as with all these things, the more things like that you have, you've got to find space to put them as well when you're driving along. So I think it's more for that type of vehicle as well. Well, I hope you found today's video useful. Hopefully I've not missed anything out. If I have, pop it in the comments box below and we'll get that added, or we'll do another video on it at some stage as well. So if you have, give us a thumbs up, give us a like as always. Hit that subscribe button if you don't already subscribe. It really just helps the channel out, and we'll see you next time.